Today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about camellias as sacrifice plants in a woodland garden context. And I'm standing here at the very bottom of our Styrax and Stewartia plantation, which went into the ground in 2006. So we're coming on for 20 years old. And at the time, behind me, we're looking straight out to sea. We're looking sort of southeast. And obviously when the wind comes from that direction, it's cold. So when we started planting here, what did we do? We put in a complete row of camellias, all mixed varieties, but we put them in effectively as a windbreak, which gives us an opportunity to have some nice flowers too. But today that windbreak has really got established. It's sheltering everything up behind us. However, if we pause for a second and just go a little bit further up the hill, up here within this planting area, we had lots and lots of camellias. And the point of them was that they were sheltering these other rather more important and much rarer trees, which we'll have a look at in a second. And they were here to create not just shelter, but to create the sort of ambience that a woodland garden needs, where everything is shading and sheltering itself and each other. You're creating a warm microclimate for plants to thrive in. But after a bit, camellias of that sort of size we were looking at, they became simply too big. We couldn't get to see these rare Styrax, these rare magnolias, notophagus and evergreen oaks, which are in this clearing. We couldn't get close enough to see them when they're in flower. We couldn't cut the grass underneath them to keep them clean and tidy. So despite the heavy rain we've had in the last week or two, we've come in here with a small swing shovel and we've quite literally dug the camellias out. We didn't throw them away, and we'll show you that in a minute. But at the same time as digging out these camellias, we've uplifted these trees. We've removed the lower branches so that we've got a better shaped tree to be able to look at from underneath in the future. This notophagus, we've taken off the lower branches right around so that the tree will now have a more upright habit, and it'll be better able to withstand the wind, we hope, and put all its energy into growing further up. This lovely Acer and the magnolia with blue flowers, we can now see them from a distance and enjoy them. Down there, that small upright plant, which we might just go and have a look at, is a very rare New Zealand thing, and it looks a bit dull. This is Melicitus obavatus, and if you look incredibly closely, you will see that there are hundreds and hundreds of thousands of tiny yellow flowers here. Now, when this tree was surrounded by camellias, no one could ever see that. Today, this is probably a record tree in the UK, and some of you might have seen a bit of this cut material on our stand up at the Cornwall Garden Society show at Wade Bridge 10 days ago. But the whole point now, when you look through this glade, this clearing, you can now see right through it, and it looks exactly like the wooden garden we wanted it to look. The sacrifice plants have gone, and we can now see the trees we want to see. And if we just come over here, we'll see that we haven't actually taken out every single one of the camellias. We've left a few. You're now looking through 5 or 6 different species of Styrax, all growing together, and you'll see that we've uplifted the lower branches, but you'll also see a couple of camellias, or 3 camellias here, 4 camellias, which we've turned into hat stands. Camellias enjoy being cut down like this. They will regrow very vigorously. At the moment, they're probably not doing any harm here. for a year or two more, but they were just getting a bit too big, so we've cut them down. And the other plants that you will see that we cut down like this, we've used the mini digger to dig them up and move them on, and we'll now go and have a look at that. So we've looked at how we've dealt with moving camellias where they were sacrifice plants for the last 20 years. But let's just have a look at another planting which occurred in about 2010 up in Caerhays, which was basically an arable field which we took into the garden. And here we again have used camellias as sacrifice plants. We're in 3 enclosures with big laurel hedges around the edge of them to protect them, but there's still big open areas, and what we have used these camellias for is to again break up the wind, to create a more even microclimate for other plants to thrive in. But we know very well that in another 10 or 15 years, actually these plants will be getting in the way of the developing and growing trees. Right through this planting, you'll see that there are camellias that are going to be in the way. They're doing a job at the moment. They provide a nice bit of colour for visitors to see, but actually they're not really where we want them in the very long term, and they too will be cut down, dug up and moved, perhaps in the next 10 years or so. Nice plants though they are, they've had their time, and that's what sacrifice plants are all about. So this is where the sacrifice camellias have ended up. They were all pruned down hard. We dug them up with a small swing shovel. They had a reasonable root ball, but not a great root ball. And there's every chance that they will survive and grow away. It may take them a year or two to get established. By leaving a little bit of greenery, you're encouraging the new growth to come again, and you'll see that on all of them we have left just a little bit of greenery, even though we've hacked them back very hard. Camellias don't mind being hacked back very hard, and they would, if they hadn't been moved, they would have reshot very quickly. But as it is here, the probability is 1 or 2 of them won't make it because their root ball wasn't good enough. And if we have a very dry summer, they won't like that either. But if they do grow away here, again, it's created a lovely windbreak for when here we're looking more northeast, and when the northeast wind blows, it's cold, to put it mildly, along here, along this path going to Old Park. And so a nice new windbreak of camellias with something more for the public to see as they walk across to Old Park. Pretty good news. So nothing's been wasted. The sacrifice plants have done their job, and now they've moved into a new setting.